Day 15 continued. Fortunately, the weather was clear for my trek into the mountains this day. I wasn't starving, dying, or thirsty at the moment, so off I went. I didn't realise, however, that it was so near to the end of the day. Trekking into the mountains at night time was going to be interesting. I brought along my stone spears in case I ran into any animals that needed a little extra oomph in dealing with. The notes I found with the telescope said to look for a white sign, so that was my goal, in addition to keeping an eye out for copper. It didn't take long before I encountered some obstacles. First was the wall of brambles that I had to try to sneak through. I still managed to get scratches from them though. It didn't occur to me to chop them down. I came upon a small clearing where a bottle of something sat on a stone table underneath two large stones leaned against one another. Also in the small clearing was a white pillar that I took for the white sign. I moved toward it, but then heard the dog growling and figured I should deal with him first before I did any more exploring in the area. Because I didn't have a torch, fighting him in the dark was tense, a little scary, and difficult. I managed to get him, but only after he took a few bites out of me. The bottle of something sitting on the stone table turned out to be something called buffalo potion. I guess it's a type of health potion. There isn't a whole lot of information about it in these notes that I have. I checked out the white pillar, but it didn't turn out to be what the notes mentioned. Looks like I'll have to climb further. I found a pass leading through some ruins, but before I did anything else, I took a minute to check whether I actually had any torches, since I forgot to check before I left, and found I had only one. It took me an hour to light that torch with the wooden fire starter I carried, which I had brought in case I had needed to start a fire. I dared not use my iron flint anymore because it was close to breaking. I found some other objects in the area now that I had light: a clay pot, another piece of obsidian, jatoba gum that I could use for tinder, a couple of bones, and a flexible branch. I couldn't carry everything with me, so I dropped it at the base of the path there by the wall of the ruins and continued on. It had gotten windy, which is to be expected when climbing higher elevations, but I wasn't too bothered. I heard another short-haired dog up ahead, and I noticed the hawks flying around above me. I'd have to keep an eye on them. I came to a cliff that gave me a good view of the rest of the island. I saw 3 map trees, 2 of them I had been to, and the third one I had yet to visit. After taking the scenery in for a bit, I continued down the ridge. Took care of another short-haired dog, but I would have to come back for the carcass later, since I didn't want to bog myself down. Found a stone deposit and some dalbergia trees that would be good for flexible branches. With it being dark, I couldn't really see any defined paths, but it looked like morning was coming, so before long there should be enough light to show me the lay of the land here. Day 16. I waited until the morning sun came up all the way, and I went down into the little valley to try to figure out which way to go. I eventually climbed up the other side of the valley and found a flint shard, which I would need to make a new iron flint since mine was about worn out. The only other thing I'd need is a piece of iron. While I was reveling in my newfound item, one of the hawks that had been flying above me dove and attacked me and took another big chunk out of me. It could have knocked me off the rocks, but just their claws alone almost took me out. I waited to see if it would dive at me again now that I was on alert, but it didn't. I heard snakes, so now I knew what else to avoid. I was still keeping my eye out for a white sign, but didn't see it anywhere in my immediate area. I noticed ruined arches that now served as bridges between the parts of the mountain. I moved around to the right side of the mountain, away from the hawks, and tried to climb up, but ended up getting stuck on a small ledge. The only way off the ledge was down, and it was tricky. If I slipped, I would fall to my death. I managed to get down and get onto one of the bridges, but I apparently ended up going in a circle because I arrived back at the big branch I had passed the previous night. I went back around to the valley, and keeping the hawks in view all the while, I moved around to the left side of the mountain. Consequently, I found a set of stairs leading further upward. I took care of another short-eared dog and found myself at a fork in the path. I chose to take the right fork to see where it went, and ran into yet another short-eared dog. I threw all of my stone spears and missed every single time, but fortunately I was able to find all three of them again. I heard a snake, but it wasn't an immediate threat, so I took a look around the little clearing there. There were bamboo trees. However, before I did any other exploring, I decided to kill the snake, so I did. But then heard another one, so I killed that one. But then heard a third one, so I killed that one too. In doing so, I found another freshwater deposit with some clay scattered around. I took note of it so I could come back later and fill up on water and harvest the clay. The hawks still circled overhead. They hadn't tried to dive bomb me yet, but I did run into that short-eared dog I had tried to kill earlier but had run off. I chased after him because I knew he would be a problem going forward, and I needed to make sure I got to him first before he got to me. I wasn't feeling the greatest after that hawk attack and slide down the mountainside, so as far as I knew, if he got a good bite on me, it could mean my demise right there and then. I chased him along the side of the mountain, following him up onto some rocks to make sure that he didn't have the high ground on me. Again, in doing so, I ended up finding another set of ruins and a little bowl of something, as well as a drawing that looked like the white sign I was trying to find anyway. I investigated the sign, read the map that was attached to it, and the note that was scrolled on the map. It said, "This collection of buildings resembles an ancient observatory. Looks like an astrologer watched the sky from different locations and marked the coordinates of stars using observation arches located on the island." Based on the map, it looked like there's two of them that I've come into contact with, one by my shelter and one I had come across when searching for the obsidian deposit before. There appeared to be a third one on a hill in the jungle that I may or may not have come across. But as I studied the observatory further, I noticed that it had become nighttime. A note on the map gave me some instructions to do with the telescope, but I guess I'd have to wait until the next day for that. I needed to sleep, but I didn't have stuff to make a bed. I did remember I had the buffalo potion, so I drank that, and it helped me feel better, but I definitely needed to sleep.